is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Everything College Basketball Podcast, episode 207. I'm, of course, your host, Josh Burton, and joining me again today are my teammates, Mr. Michael DeRosa, head coach Scott Parrott. Gentlemen, it is a fine January 9th, Thursday afternoon here in the state of Indiana. Just got over snow. We ended up clocking in over the weekend between Sunday and Monday. We got in my area north of like 10.5 inches.
Wow.
And now we have more, about another 2.5, 3 inches coming in apparently tomorrow. So we are snowed in left and right here. But other than that, how are you guys doing on this Thursday afternoon?
I am doing terrific. We get, a little part, all we get of this storm is the rain and some cold for Houston. But Dallas is getting some snow, I see, and some ice. But other than that, I'm good. I'm excited about the games that we're going to talk about. I'm excited about what we're going to preview. And obviously, I'm excited for the big, non-basketball game tonight with my Irish here in the Final Four. So a lot happening here in the Parrott household tonight.
Michael, we know at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, as soon as that game kicks off, we do not text coach.
Yep.
No matter what, we do not text him.
Hey, don't feel bad. Best friends of 40 years have been told the same thing.
It's really funny just going through because I don't watch a ton of college football, so I don't know when Notre Dame's playing, when they aren't, unless he mentions it on the show, or playoffs. Obviously I know when the college football playoffs going on, but just going through the group chat and then seeing coach say, "Don't text Irish on." It's just funny every time.
I can copy and paste it to about 100 people, like I said. So, when you live a lot of places and you coach as long as I have, there's a lot of people that want to see my team lose. And also some people that are with me too. So I'm going dark after the show. That's it. I told everybody I'll talk to them after the game or tomorrow.
That's the beauty of college athletics and just having a sports team to cheer for. That's the fun thing. My soccer club, when I was off work Monday, because my county and all the surrounding counties were under a red travel warning, which means stay the hell off roads. We didn't have to work. So I was able to watch my Italian team have a big cup victory. So that's the fun thing about sports that we all love so much, especially our sport, college basketball.
Well, once again, it's something I have not been able to do for so long. I've been able to follow Notre Dame football, obviously, but not be a fan like I've been this year and go to a game, and now this playoff run. So it's been a lot of fun, but, so is this college basketball games this week and the games we're going to talk about. And so, a lot of good things, a lot of fun stuff to do here tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a lot to get into. First of all, our guy, he's always first in chat, waiting in line. Our guy, Connor McCabe, shout out. He says, "Hey, yo, Connor, we appreciate your support. As always, we are live on the Twitter, the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel. Follow along with us live. Leave your comments, questions, anything you want. We will get to them live on air here. We appreciate anybody who tunes in live and listens to or goes back and watches us after. We've had a really good start. We're halfway through the year. Some of our stuff has been really popping off, and especially it's going to get bigger as we get closer to March and football as a whole starts winding down. So we're happy to have everybody on board right now. I don't think there's any place we can start when we're talking about the games that happened this week so far in the early part of the week than what Florida did to Tennessee on Tuesday night. Tennessee comes into this game, and we talked a lot about it on Sunday. If you go to my bank one, I said Florida wins, and they win by double digits. Nowhere in my mind when I said that did I think they would do what they did to the AP number 1 team and the number 2 team in the ECB top 25, Tennessee. They absolutely steamrolled them. They jumped Tennessee 12-0. Tennessee was never in this game. And Florida looked like one of the absolute best teams in the nation, especially coming off of a hard, close loss in the SEC opener last Saturday at Kentucky. Coach, that was as impressive and dominant performance as we've seen in college basketball this year.
Yeah. Tennessee had how many field goals? 12?
12 and 12 turnovers.
Some stuff that happens is just hard to explain. How do you couldn't put odds that Tennessee would score 12 field goals in the game, let alone 12 in the first half. So it's just an incredible performance by Florida. Again, as we discussed at length, one that we all thought they have to have because this SEC battleground of winning at home is going to be so essential. And no matter what happened, nobody saw that coming. What a complete all around, both sides of the floor, total performance by the Gators. Hats off to them. No question, probably best performance of the year.
And Michael, if I would have told you that Florida only shot 6 of 20 from the 3-point line, there's probably no chance that you thought that this is a 30-point ass whipping. But here's the thing that I want to ask you both about, that kind of what we've talked about and alluded to. Now, Tennessee's been great. This is their first loss of the year. This doesn't change the fact that they've been great this year. They just went and played a really good top 10 team, a potential Final Four candidate, if we're being completely honest, and had a bad day. But to me, this highlights the one fear about Tennessee that kind of still lingers there. And we even mentioned it, I think, on Sunday in the preview. What happens when they get behind? Because their offense outside of Lanier is not explosive. They're not built to make these big comebacks and big-time games like this, especially when the tempo of the Florida is kind of more up and down and chaotic. After seeing this, now not everybody's Florida. We know that. But they will have to see an Alabama who plays similar. Kentucky's going to try to do the same thing. Auburn can get up and down. So it won't be the last time they see a style like that, especially a good team that can do something like that. Does this make you have any cause for concern for Tennessee when they play other SEC teams like that? Or they get in the NCAA tournament and play a team that has offensive firepower that can really put them in danger?
I mean, obviously no team is perfect. And I don't think they obviously were the number one team in the country because they were undefeated and how they went about being undefeated. They beat some really good teams like Illinois. That Illinois win is aging beautifully. And just some of the other wins they had. But just from the eye test, I didn't think they were the best team in the country. I probably would have had them third. So after this week, I'll probably have them third. That still means they're amazing, though. This is an excellent team. But yeah, only making 12 field goals and having 12 turnovers in a game, you're not going to win many games like that. But even you mentioned concerns for the future, their defense kind of held up. Florida only shot under 40% from the field, shot exactly 30% from three, and had 12 turnovers in the game. Tennessee's defense held up in this spot. It was just they couldn't score. And I will go as far as to say I don't think they have any game for the rest of the season where they shoot 12 of 56 from the field. That's just not going to happen. Maybe they'll shoot maybe they'll only make 18 field goals and it'll be a game like this and it gets greasy. But I think this game, the way it happened, will not happen again for the rest of the season.
I don't think they'll have a game again, Coach, where they'll only make 12 field goals. But I think there are teams out there in this league that will make them play kind of these ugly games where it's low 50s, like Mississippi State. They're primed to play a game like that. Or even in Auburn. You think of the couple games against Auburn last year. They played some ugly games against Auburn. I think there's opportunities for low 50 kind of ugly basketball out there. Chaz Lanier only had 10 points in this game. Obviously, when you only score 43, it's not a lot of opportunity for dudes to get off in this game. But Lanier only had 10 in this game. Jemai Mashack had none. Jordan Gainey, who's been phenomenal, only had 7. There's something about Tennessee, as great as they've been, that does worry me when a guy like Lanier or Ziegler does not get off.
Yeah, look, there's going to be other games where they struggle. I mean, but I don't know. I guess it's going to be hard because of the SEC situation. Look, if they start taking some losses at home, then maybe I'll sit up and get a little more concerned. But if they go to Alabama and lose by 15, I'm not going to. I mean, if they go to Auburn and lose by 12, if they go to it's just the way the league is going to go. But if they do this at home and they take a couple where they're losing by double, then okay, then there's issues that I think are. But after one game, one sample size, one horrible performance combined with a good performance, let's see how Tennessee. There are potential for it though, Josh. No doubt about it. But let's see if it happens at home.
Yeah, and I feel you. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about a home court advantage really shine through in a lot of games this week. And, I mean, props to Florida. We talked about this for weeks and weeks. We even talked about it Saturday, how good they looked even in a loss to Kentucky. And they bounced back, man, never trailing in this game, even having a lead as big as 64-28 at one point with 6 minutes to go in the game. And these guards, and the numbers don't jump off the page, but Elijah Martin, 18. Will Richards started the game strong. He had 7 pretty early in the contest. They did this too, guys. Walter Clayton only had 7. Like, he went a long stretch in the first half where he had 0 points, and they had built the lead like 15, 18 points. This is a scary Florida team. They didn't shoot well in this game, and they still win by 30. This is a very dangerous Florida team that they're going to cause real problems this year. Like, they've got a real shot.
Those 3 guards remind me like how Memphis is with those 3 guards. If you have all 3 of them going, look out, you're in real trouble. 2 of the 3, you're probably in a lot of trouble. You got to find some way to not let those guys get going, but they're all so good that that's easy to say on a podcast. I mean,
well, and Michael, they got their 4th guard, if you want to call him that, Denzel Aberdeen, who did not play well at Rupp Arena, comes back with 16 points off the bench. I mean, they've got so many weapons in that backcourt, and then their front court's just been doing what they do. Alex Condon, 12 points in this game, 12 rebounds. Chinule dominating the glass, blocking shots. I mean, that everybody on this team knows their role, and they play it almost to perfection. Florida is the real deal.
Yeah, I thought Chinyelu was really good. I liked him he was on that Washington State team last year. That was pretty impressive. Miles Rice, Coach Kyle Smith, he was one of those guys. He was on that team, and I thought he was really impressive in this game. He did. I mean, obviously the rebounding really stands out in the box score, but the way he's able to defend around the rim and just kind of adjust shots, I think it makes another difference for this Florida team and really brings him to the next level. I thought he was really impressive in this game, despite only scoring 4 points.
I would completely agree. I mean, he's been good all year. And then Florida got after the offensive glass. It's just the first time that obviously Tennessee took a loss. Florida jumped them early, and that looked like a team that kind of not used to taking a punch in the mouth, and Florida just kept throwing them. And that a very good win from Florida, very impressive win. And it just look at all these teams now that are 1-1 already in the SEC. It's going to be such a grind. I can't wait to follow this league. Let's go to another SEC game that happened at the same time on Tuesday night. Another home court advantage win here. Georgia, been talking them up all year, kind of flying under the radar. We've talked about how they played close to Marquette. They've got a win against St. John's. They took a loss to open SEC play up on last Saturday to Ole Miss on the road, but they bounced back on Tuesday night and knock off number 7 Kentucky 82-69 in a game. Really, this game at one point Kentucky had the lead at 23-19. Georgia responds with a run, and then really they got the lead to 13 at half. Kentucky gets it down to 5 at one point in the second half, 55-50. Couple plays, couple fouls later, Georgia's back up 13, and it kind of stayed there the rest of the way. Super impressive from Georgia. They got to the foul line a ton. They shot 38 free throws. 38 free throws. And their playmakers made plays. Asa Newell stepped out, hit some threes, attacked the paint. Silas Demery, our guy who's been on here multiple times, he made plays. He had a big corner 3 went late when Kentucky tried to rally. Really good, impressive victory from Georgia, who needed a win like this to bolster their resume. And again, it shows how hard it is to win on the road in conference play, especially in a league like the SEC this year, Coach.
Yeah, Newell's that kid's a really good player. But yeah, they're doing a really good job. Coach White is doing a tremendous job at Georgia. And you're right, because the ACC has been so powerful, heavy, and all these teams getting the attention, you've been really good, Josh, about being on Georgia all year. And now they have a pop kind of win, right? And
yep.
But it's just going to keep going round and round. Win at home and fight like hell on the road and try and find one, or try and get a couple, because that's the only way you're going to be in the top 5 or 6 in that league. Otherwise, you got no chance.
I forget, and I wish I could pull it up and give them credit. I seen a tweet the other night from one of the more name brand kind of people in the sport that basically said that with as tough as it is to come by SEC road wins right now, that it ought to count as double if you go get some wins on the road, because it's brutal, DeRosa. And we're going to talk about Kentucky and some of my frustrations yet again in a game like this and some other stuff. But I want to focus on Georgia and give them a lot of credit, because they executed a game plan. They don't play high tempo, but they've got incredible athletes. They get downhill, and they're not afraid of contact. They go into contact as well as any team as I've seen in college basketball. Hence the reason why they shot 38 free throws.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, actually. Glad you brought it up. I went back, I watched the ESPN highlights of this game because I wasn't watching it. Excuse me, I wasn't watching it live. Georgia was just the much tougher team in my mind. They were first to lose balls. They were much more physical inside. As you mentioned, the 38 free throws definitely plays a part in it. They were better on the glass. They won the rebounding battle 41-34. Like, they were just a more physical team. It just kind of felt like they wanted it more. Like, they were just more to it. And Kentucky was a step slow. I know there was the flu going around with the team. At least I heard that from, like, I know Kobe Bryant was apparently sick coming into the game. He ended up playing 27 minutes. So I don't know how bad it was. And we obviously will never know how bad it was to the extent unless someone says something. But I just thought Georgia was tougher. They were more physical. They were quicker to lose balls. They just did all of the little things. They just kind of wanted it more. They were the stronger team. And I think that was what made the difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and again, credit to Georgia. That's a win that they needed. They're 13-2. They've moved up to 50th in KenPom. Keep in mind, a couple of weeks ago, they cracked our top 25 for a reason. And this is a really good team that I do think is kind of on the fringe of the NCAA tournament bubble. And a win like this could be the difference in them getting in on Selection Sunday or not. So that's a great win for Georgia. Very kind of connected team. They know who they are. They control tempo. And they're, like we've talked about, they're not afraid of contact. The Kentucky end of things, 3 losses, 2 of them on the road, 1 on a neutral site. But every one of these losses so far have the same common theme. They don't shoot the 3 well. So far in the 2 true road games that they've had, Clemson and now Georgia, they're shooting 24% from 3. They're just not going to get it done. And they shy away from contact. This team, and I don't have an official stat, I know what my eyeballs tell me. This team has to have missed more shots around the rim, dunks, layups, and 5-foot bunnies than any team in the high majors. It's ridiculous how many easy shots around the rim that they miss. And they don't go to contact. They're afraid, at least by the looks of it on TV, they're afraid of contact. They try to get too cute with it, step around it, and hence the reason they only shot 19 free throws. Now, there's another discussion about certain referees. I'm not going to point them out here, but Kentucky, here's my thing. If they don't toughen up and start like, all right, this is how these games are going to be played, especially on the road, the way the SEC is, I don't know how many road games. I think they handle business at home this year. And that means big wins against Tennessee and Alabama and Texas A&M and a couple, like they're going to have big wins at home. But if they don't toughen up, because you got Mississippi State on Saturday, we're going to talk about here later, that's a better, more physical team than Georgia. I don't know how many road victories they get. They may go 9-9 in conference play, win every game at home, lose every game on the road. They've got to step up, and Jackson Robinson needs to be the guy. These big games like this on the road and the games that they've lost, he's disappeared. So they have issues they've got to figure out when they leave Rupp Arena or it's not a neutral site and they actually have to go into a true road environment that makes me as a Kentucky fan feel more confident we can go steal a couple road victories.
I think that's warranted. And I think, too, the SEC, there's going to be a big group, 10-8 to 8-10. Yeah. I mean, a big group because of just how hard the league is and how hard the road wins are going to be to come by. And if there's Auburn, who kind of separates himself, Auburn, Alabama, I don't know, both of them, we'll see. But, Florida, who knows? So much basketball to be played. But, boy, is it fun and intriguing to see how this plays out.
Michael, if Kentucky does do that in some form or fashion, they win every game at home and then they lose pretty much every game on the road, they're going to have the damnedest resume out of any team. Because that means wins against Duke, Gonzaga, Louisville, Alabama, A&M, Tennessee, Arkansas, etc. Auburn, they put Auburn at the end of the year at home in March. Then you lose games like Georgia and all these other teams on the road. How do you evaluate them for a seed line? That's going to be wild. I mean, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's just 100% going to come down to where each game falls in the quadrants. I feel like at some point they'll win a road game, lose a home game, whatever it will be. Just because it's how the basketball gods work at some point. But I was trying to find some numbers on the rim layup. I couldn't find anything, but I did see that in the 3 games Kentucky has lost, in all of them they've shot under 50% from 2 inside the arc. In every other game they've played this season, the only time they did it in a win was the Duke game, where they were 15-38 from inside the arc, but they were 10-25 from 3. Other than that, they've been, for the most part, well over 50%. The Western Kentucky game, they didn't shoot it too well from inside the arc, and the Colgate game. But other than that, for the most part, we're getting 55, 60, even one game in the 80s% against Georgia State. But yeah, Clemson, 47%. Ohio State 37%. That is really bad. And then this game, 18-39, 46% from inside the arc. For one of the better teams inside the arc too, just because they run so many actions and get so many good layups. Yeah, it's just physicality would be my hypothesis on what it comes down to.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, they don't finish strong. They try to go up with cute layups and try to finish with finger rolls or whatever it may be, and they're getting blocked or they're getting pushed off their spot and can't finish through the contact. And I, big fan of Jackson Robinson. We know his talent can be that dude, and he's not shown it yet. And you could kind of tell in this game early. He missed like his first 3 shots, one of them being an air ball 3 where he overshot the rim entirely and kind of hung his head getting back on defense. To the point you knew, like you can tell, there's starting to be tells with these players. You could tell this was not going to be a game where he could play in it. When after he started 0 for 3, airballed that 3-point shot, he gets a wide open layup right under the rim, not a Georgia defender in sight, but because somebody acted like they were coming at him, he heard footsteps. He tried to kick it out to the corner for a Travis Perry 3 instead of going up and finishing. Immediately telltale, you're like, well, you're not getting nothing out of Jackson tonight. It's just they've got to be tougher, especially if these officials are going to allow them to kind of be rough and tough and all that stuff. Somebody's got to grow a set of balls. Take a couple hard fouls if you have to. Nothing dirty, but take a couple hard fouls and be like, you're not going to push us around. I worry about that end. If they're allowed to run their offense, it's a thing of beauty. They play pretty is the best way I can say it. And a lot of these games in conference play right now, you got to be nasty.
I think they'll adjust. I think Coach Pope will adjust.
Well, I hope so. But right now, on the road, pretty don't win. You got to be nasty. You can be pretty at Rupp, but you can't be pretty on the road. And a great win for Georgia, though.
If I'm looking at this site correctly, on the defensive end, they're getting burnt around the rim quite a bit. Opponents are shooting 63%. That's called 64% from around the rim, at the rim on the season. I don't see anything offensively that would lead to it, but I trust your eye test.
Same issues that we've talked about. And I swear we will do a breakdown video, a separate video on YouTube, because I do want to go over those. Same issues. To me, the big stay too long, coach. They on ball screens or dribble handoffs. The guard, whether they get in front of the ball handler or not and recover or not, the bigs are over helping. And like an Asa Newell can bury threes. He hit a couple of them in this game. And the bigs have like 10 feet of space to try to recover from. And it's putting them in scramble mode. The bigs have to recover quicker. There's got to be better communication because they're out of position a lot of times on those DHOs or ball screens. But great win for Georgia. I want to make that clear. Great win for Georgia. This team, I think, is an NCAA tournament team. Now, hopefully they don't screw it up on their end, but 13-2, 1-1 start in SEC. Great win, protecting home court. Kentucky, they just got to figure out a way to be tougher and combat this. Let's go to your Hoyas, Michael. They did not win this game against Marquette, but damn it, did they give the fight that I think you as a Hoya fan were looking for. Marquette protects home court. They win 74-66, but Georgetown gave them all they wanted and more without Jaden Epps that we talked about, and they put up a fight. I'm telling you, as long as Georgetown does not collapse, and by collapse, going like a stretch where they lose like 6 of 8 or something crazy like that, I think Georgetown's an NCAA tournament team through what I've seen through their first 15 games. They went to Marquette, had Marquette down, and had a chance to pull off a massive quad 1 victory that would have probably vaulted them in our top 25 next week. And they fell short, which is nothing wrong with that, but they gave up one hell of a fight, man. This team's for real right now.
Yeah, the defense around the rim in particular in 2-point range has just been excellent. I mean, it is night and day from last year. Marquette shot 35.6% from the field, 37.5% from 3. So that would lead you to about like 34% inside the arc. And that's Marquette. They're one of the best 2-point shooting teams in the country. They just get so many open looks, so many looks around the rim. And Thomas Sorber just was excellent at deleting them. Micah Peavy, it's not easy to score on Micah Peavy. And that was very clearly evident in this game. He held Cam Jones in check. The way Georgetown defends just is going to make it tough in any game. I feel like Georgetown's going to be a team where they're going to play up to good teams, play those teams really close, play down to bad teams as well. So they're going to play those teams really close like they did in the Seton Hall game where they only ended up winning by like 1 or 2. But yeah, the toughness on this team, it's excellent. And they're definitely going to have to win some big games because they played a very soft non-conference schedule because this team is so young. They wanted to obviously want a younger team. You want to see them grow over time. And that's where we are in this spot. But they're going to need to win some big games, but they look good, man. And no doubt about it, they got a test coming up. Saturday.
3 of the next 4 are going to be tough.
Yeah. So
you got that St. John's.
Yeah.
DePaul and that Nova who's on fire. So So, but they're playing. They've elevated themselves. They've certainly got the attention of everybody in the league. And they, again, you're right, moral victory, whatever. But at least Georgetown is showing up every night.
And look, Coach, they did their job. Like as far as Cam Jones only had 11 points.
11.
4 of 14. 4 of 14 from the floor. They just allowed Chase Ross because Marquette has enough weapons. Chase Ross got off at 27. But they did their job on Cam Jones. They put themselves in such a great spot to go on the road in a tough building and get a win. And just Marquette's really good. They're at a more advanced stage right now than Georgetown. But, man, you got to – look, Georgetown played 7 dudes. That's all they played in this game. And they were without one of their better players in this game. The fact that they even had a lead and were in this game and a game a lot of people thought that they would get blown out in. I like where Georgetown's at. To Michael's point, the defense, man, again, you know how hard it is on the road to hold Marquette to 74? Like, this is a team. I think they have NCAA tournament written all over them. You are right, though, Michael. They have to probably start getting a marquee win or 2. They're going to have their opportunities coming up. But, man, you got to feel good where Georgetown's at right now. They're in a really good spot compared to what they have been. So,
absolutely, 100%. It's so refreshing watching a team that actually plays defense. This team takes pride in defense. It's night and day.
Good win for Marquette. They needed it. Georgetown have nothing to hang their heads over. They're going to have their opportunities coming up this week, and we're going to talk about one of them to try to get themselves a marquee victory here. Let's stay in the Big East because we did have an upset last night. We left Villanova for dead early in the year. And since then, they have been rattling off. They are what? 1, 2,
8 and 9?
4, 5. Yeah, 8 of their last 9. The only loss was a couple of weeks ago before Christmas. They lose on the road to Creighton by 7. But, man, they have been playing good basketball, some of their better basketball, honestly, that's happened in the Kyle Neptune era. They beat Connecticut last night, a Connecticut team that we have been raving over since Maui, that had figured it out. And we posed a question Sunday on episode 206 about how much Liam McNeely's injury and absence could hurt them. I think it came back to bite them last night. They could have used his scoring because Villanova looked really, really good in this game at home, protecting home court. They beat Connecticut 68-66. Eric Dixon, very quiet in the first half. What do you have, DeRosa? I think like 4 or 5 points in the first half.
Something like that,
and then explodes in the second half like he's prone to do for 18. Finishes with a game-high 23 points. They get 18 from the Miami transfer, Wooga Poplar. They get 12 from Jordan Longino. Let's talk about Longino here in a second because he is a play that was very controversial. He did nothing wrong, we'll put it that way. But great win for Villanova. Alex Karaban, first time in his career he misses 2 free throws. 2 in a row is what I mean. And Villanova gets a win. Coach, life on the road, right?
Yeah.
Life on the road.
I got a huge kick out of Danny's quote after the game. I don't know if you guys saw it. What are you going to do? What are you going to tell him? Go home, look at his ring box. at his back-to-back national championships and get ready for Georgetown. I mean, that was comical. Because it's just not something that's not that is not. He's never good. I mean, never happened before. It'll probably never happen again. He's not going to miss 2 free throws like that with that time left. But Villanova put him in that position to give themselves a chance to win, and he missed them. And Villanova, for all the heat they took earlier in the year, we got to applaud what they're doing now because he has done a hell of a job of keeping the ship afloat, and now they got confidence. They're playing well, and they're winning games.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead, DeRosa. I'm sorry.
I thought they defended Eric Dixon really well, actually. He had 23.
6 of 20.
Yeah, 6 of 20. What they did pretty much is they were just like, look, he's going to have to dribble the ball anytime he catches it. It's just catch it. They made him put the ball on the floor. They didn't give him anything quick, nothing. And when he scored, he was dribbling from the perimeter to the lane, which for a 6'8", but like a beefy 6'8" big, that's about as good as you can do, frankly. They made his life really tough. It was Wooga Poplar made some plays. Jameer Brickus only had 7 points, 5 assists. I thought he was near flawless. I thought he was excellent in this game, frankly. He was just so steady. He completely controlled this game, and they just made plays. It was very low possession, very slow pace game. Nova just found a way. Poplar, I thought, was scoring well. Brickers was great. Jordan Longino was great. And Villanova's defense, frankly, is still definitely the concern. I don't know where it is exactly on KenPom now, but like they're not a good defense. Yeah, 171 on KenPom. They're not a good defensive team, but
top
they found
10 offense.
Top 10 offense. They can score, and if they can win a game against a really good UConn team when Eric Dixon isn't playing at his best, that says something.
Well, I like the point too about the way UConn defended Dixon, because we've seen him a lot already this year, where he'll, as a kind of a 6'8" forward, big kind of, where he's running almost like elevator screens and pin downs where he catches and shoot on pick and pops there. And yeah, I like the way they defended him, making him putting on the deck, but he's still so big and strong that he gets to his spots. Yep. Like when he needed to make plays, he made plays. And let's talk about the controversy, because this is the biggest ball don't lie moment that would have cost Villanova the game. If Karaman hits those free throws, UConn goes up in this game, right? And so the play was UConn was down. What was it, DeRosa? Were they down 1 or 2? Maybe it was the
top. They're down one.
Down 1 years. So Karaman drives the lane, puts up a shot, which I looked like he tried to get a runner off the glass. And Longino played perfect defense. No body-to-body contact, no hand on the arm. Went up, blocks the shot. The referee calls a foul. Everybody sees the replay, loses their mind, as they should. And that set up for Karaban to go up there. He makes both. UConn's up 1 with under 10 seconds to go. And you know, that could have easily lost Villanova the game. He steps up, misses 2, and a very much, like I said, ball don't lie moment. And if anybody's seen that play, that was as clean as block as you'll find, DeRosa. Yeah. Like, I didn't see any contact at all. Did you?
No, it was a perfect defensive play.
Perfect block.
That's frustrating, and that's the frustrating part as coaches. I mean, you get a kid to give that kind of effort, that kind of play to win a game, and they blow the whistle. That'd drive you crazy.
Yeah, again, I'm trying to be reserved on the officials, because I've seen a lot of bad officiating in the last week. I don't know what has to be done, but something's got to be done, because I don't know how you see that and then, oh, that's a foul. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's got to be better. But good for Villanova, though. Karaban ends up missing both. They end up getting the win that they probably deserved at the very end anyways. Karaban, I want to ask you this, Coach, because I seen that. I think it was you that sent that stat that is like, you know, he had never missed 2 in a row in his career so far.
Yeah, my guy Tommy, he tweeted it. Yeah.
I think this will linger with him, and he will be in a spot, probably in March somewhere, whether it be the Big East tournament or NCAA tournament, where he has to shoot big free throws to ice a game or win a game. He'll remember that. He won't miss again. No, I think this will be the best thing moving forward for him.
And Danny's point was, the way he said it was funny, but his point is taken. In other words, you've been so valuable to us. You've helped us win 2 championships in a row. Like, just like, you got to let it hurt tonight and tomorrow get ready for Georgetown. I mean, because the kid is so valuable to them and so good and such a winner. It's unfortunate. Even great players, you know, make mistakes that can end up hurting the game. And that's why I have so many discussions about like the magnification of the end of the game, right? We all remember the free throws. Meanwhile, what happened on the 6 previous possessions? Why, if they, did they score? I mean, if they didn't, well, that would have won the game for them. But it all that microscope or that spotlight becomes so magnified when it's the last 5 seconds, 10 seconds of the game. When as coaches, you go back and watch the film and you tell your team, fellas, I mean, if we had done this better, been a little sharper with 13 minutes, down to the 8-minute timeout of the 4, we wouldn't have been in that position. We'd have had the lead. And so, Danny will do a great job with him and the team.
It's almost like, a lot of times, I love that point. The previous 39 minutes and 50 seconds don't matter. All anybody
sports,
cares
right?
about
That's the way sports. That's the way sports is. Yep. Same with kickers in football.
Same thing. Yep. Great win for Villanova. I mean, 11-5 on the year. Now they've really fought back. Ford won the Big East. They're right there towards the top of the standing. So we'll keep an eye on Villanova, see if they can continue this momentum. And right now they're looking like they're fighting their way back into NCAA tournament conversation. So you got to give Villanova a lot of credit for that after a rough start the first month or so into the year. The other game I want to talk about real quick is Auburn, the number 1 team in the nation in the ECB top 25, went on the road, played Texas. They jumped the Longhorns early, but in true road fashion for the home team, they didn't go down without a fight. The Moody Center is a very tough building to go try to get a win in. Texas gets this game all the way back. They were down 21 at one point with 12 minutes to go. They get this thing within a possession. Auburn was able to hold on to win 87-82. Arthur Kaluma, 34 points for the Longhorns, went nuts in their rally to try to bring them back. But at the end of the day, Auburn just too deep, too much to handle, and they get one of those coveted road wins in the SEC that we've been talking about. But Texas, if they can find a way to play like that, the final 12 minutes that they did when they found themselves down 21, that's a Texas team that has talent that could really do something.
It's they just a different situation, though. Yeah, I mean, you're right. But they had at that point they're down 20. You do play different sometimes. It's like, look, we got to let it fly here. We got to try and do something to get back in this thing. And to their credit, they did. That kid played unbelievable, and he played well the UConn game I was at. By the way, I thought he was impressive. He scored that night as well. But yeah, Texas has got to find more scores, be deeper. To win these games against some of these teams that they just aren't as good as, and win at home especially. Now a lot of credit for the comeback, and then we'll see if they have Tennessee coming, right?
They do have Tennessee that we'll be talking about here in a minute coming up on Saturday. DeRosa, I mean, Auburn we know is really great, like they're really good, but Texas, if I'm them, try to find a way, because now you're 0-2 in SEC play. It doesn't get any easier, but whatever you did in that final 12 minutes to get yourself back in the game, see if you can't try to stretch it out to play it for a full 40.
To an extent, I mean, obviously, like, look, if you can go on a run against Auburn, you can go on a run against anybody. But also, I don't know how many games you're going to get Arthur Kaluma shooting 5 of 6 from 3. I remember
not many. Not many.
He can shoot it, but like he's not a shooter. When it's going in like that, it's just going in. They didn't get a 3 from anyone else though, which I thought was crazy. Like Trey Johnson didn't hit any. Jordan Pope's a good shooter. Sherman Mark didn't even take any. So I that was just kind of something that was interesting to me. I didn't watch a ton of this game, so it's really all I've got. Auburn's still really good at basketball. Janai Broome is awesome.
Janai Broome, man, got to be front runner for National Player of the Year. Auburn puts 5 guys yet again in double figures. A really good coveted road win in a tough building. So Auburn just continues to roll on. We'll see what Texas can do. We're going to talk about Texas yet again here in a minute. But before we do that, we'd like to talk about our friends and sponsors over at W Energy. W is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like other energy drinks. They have no maltodextrin fillers and do not use artificial dyes. W contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams caffeine. The product is made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. And if you go, visit www.w.gg. Place yourself an order. At checkout, use promo code ECB10. You will get 10% off of your entire order. We appreciate W for coming on board this year. And go use our promo code now. Go check our friends out over at wenergy.gg. We have another big weekend. I keep saying this. I keep repeating myself. But it's another big weekend of college basketball, especially down in the Southeastern Conference. And I think we start with what on paper should be the game of the day. Number 5, Alabama at number 10, Texas A&M. A&M had to rally last night. They found themselves down 18 at Oklahoma, rally behind a Zurich Phelps game winner to steal a road victory at a top 25 Oklahoma team. Now they play host on Saturday to the number 5 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. These two split the series last year when both were battling towards the top of the SEC standings. It is a styles clash. You got A&M who wants to be physical, control tempo. You got Alabama that wants to get up and down the floor and try to put 100 on your head coach. This should be an incredible game. A lot of star players on both sides of the floor here. Can A&M slow this thing down, make Alabama play in kind of the mid-upper 60s, and get a big-time top 10 victory?
What's Wade Taylor's status?
As far as I know, he's playing. I haven't seen anything to the contrary yet.
Because that performance last night by Zerrick Phelps was unbelievable.
He was nuts, and he's been
34 in the
really
second
good this
half.
year.
He had 34 in the second half.
I know sorry, let's talk about that real quick.
I mean,
I know we've alluded to it, but everybody loves to talk about Wade Taylor. But the fact that they get Zerrick Phelps, another kind of complimentary guard that does a lot of the same things Wade Taylor does, has changed A&M's. They've changed it completely. If they had Zerrick Phelps on that roster last year, that's a team that may beat Houston in that second round, and who knows how deep they go. Zerrick Phelps changed this team.
Well, my point is, if Wade Taylor plays, I think A&M can win the game. If he doesn't, they can't survive without him for long. They can't count on Zerrick Phelps. I mean, playing out of this world again against that Alabama team in order to carry and get the win. So, to me, it comes down to whether if Taylor plays, I think A&M can beat him and might beat him. If he doesn't, I think Alabama wins and wins pretty easily.
Michael?
Yeah, I think if Wade Taylor doesn't play, I think the way Texas A&M wins this game is like we're talking like 64-57. And how you keeping Alabama that long, I don't know. But they'd have to like just absolutely kill it on the glass, do all those sort of things. If Taylor plays, they have that explosive level to where it's like I'd pick him like without a doubt. The status of him is definitely in question. You know what? Give me A&M. I like this A&M team. Why not? I think they're a top 10 team in the country. I think they deserve to be. I think they're in that range, and they're at home. SEC home. I just think they can bully Alabama. And especially if Cliff Romery, like he's been one of those guys where it's like he's on some nights and he's really off other nights. I think just the way the physicality A&M plays with that, it can just kind of like take him off his game a little bit. And then if they want to run Grant Nelson at the 5 against all of the guys that A&M sends to the glass, good luck. Give me A&M.
A&M, the number one offensive rebounding team in the country. They get almost just a shade under 50%. I think it's at, I have to pull it back up. I think it's like 44.5. So right around 45% of their shots they get an offensive rebound on. And I think that paired with what we've both talked about, the physicality, I think we'll find out within the first 5-6 minutes on how this game's going to go, based upon how the referees call this. If they allow A&M to get up to Alabama's ball handlers, if they allow Texas A&M's bigs to do some bumps and be physical and challenge at the rim, A&M's going to dominate the possession of this game and win. They will not let Alabama get out and run. But if they let start calling ticky-tack fouls and A&M has to go to the bench early, Alabama is more equipped in a deeper bench role to play in that kind of style. So I think we'll find out pretty early with how this game's going to be called of kind of who this is going to favor. I'm with you. If Wade Taylor plays, I pick Texas A&M, no problem. Not knowing his status is interesting. But man, we talk about this whole show, and we've talked about it so far. Road wins are so hard to come by, especially playing a top 10 team that's experienced, physical. They've got talent. I'm going A&M as well. I think they control games. It's easier to slow a game down than it is to speed one up in a case like this. I think they control tempo, frustrate Alabama. Bama's not shot the 3 well at all this year. And if they start missing like that, especially long rebounds, I think it's over with. I'm going A&M by a comfortable margin, about 7 or 8 points at the end, including free throws. I'm going A&M. Should be a fun one, though. Should be a very fun game. Let's stay in the SEC. Let's go to Tennessee, number 2 Tennessee at Texas. We just talked about both these teams coming off losses. Coach Texas, final 12 minutes against Auburn looked really good. The previous 28 did not look good. Tennessee did not look great. They obviously did not have anywhere close to their A-plus game at all against Florida. Texas is not Florida. Does Tennessee go get one of those coveted road victories on Saturday?
Yeah, I think here's both teams licking their wounds, and here's one where Coach Terry knows, like, we got to win these home games. Like, if we can split with Auburn and Tennessee, that's a pretty good situation. I just think they're going to have a hard time doing it. Back to Michael's point, Kaluma's not going 5 for 6 from 3.
No.
Can Trey carry enough of the load against Tennessee? Does Tennessee respond better offensively? I think Tennessee gets a road win here, and Texas licks their wounds again. I think it's going to be a tough one. Tough spot for Texas back-to-back here. Really tough.
It's a brutal stretch. I mean, every night, right, Michael? Every night in the SEC, you've got somebody that's just brutal when you look at it.
Yeah, I'm with Coach on just about every single point he made. I got Tennessee. I don't really have too much to add. I just think I don't know if we're getting two complete duds from Tennessee back to back, and I just think they have enough out there to present some real problems to this Texas offense, which has been pretty inconsistent this year, especially if they're not hitting from three. And Tennessee is the best 3-point defense in the country. So give me the Volunteers.
I'm going, man, sweep again. I'm going Tennessee on the road here. I don't have the exact quote, but Rick Barnes post game, that Florida ass whipping, basically admitted as such that we got dominated in every facet. His teams respond really well to losses like that. Not that they have many, but they respond really well to losses. I think they go down looking to make a statement against Texas. I think they absolutely manhandle Texas. I think it's an ass whooping in reverse, this time in the Vols' favor. I think Tennessee bounces back. Let's, again, stay in the SEC. Number 7, Kentucky, coming off a loss at number 12, Mississippi State. I think that's an 8:30 tip Eastern time down there in Stark Vegas. And let me say this. Even when Kentucky's had great teams, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, and John Wall, like even a good team last year, had to win at the buzzer. That is a tough building to play at for Kentucky historically. Now you throw in a Chris Jans team who's top 15, that's experienced, that has scoring guards. Man, I think this is a nightmare scenario waiting to happen. If Kentucky does not do two things, if they don't shoot the three ball well, finally on the road, and if they don't man up and be physical, this is an ass whipping staring in the face of the Wildcats. I'm worried about this one, gentlemen.
Yeah, I like Mississippi State in this spot as well. Until Kentucky proves they can be tough enough to win on the road, I'm not picking them unless something changes. I'm taking Mississippi State.
Yeah, this Mississippi State team is really, really physical, and they don't turn the ball over a ton. Josh Hubbard is just, awesome. He's so quick too. I think they present a ton of problems for Kentucky. And the only game they lost this season, Mississippi State, was against Butler. Butler was 12-22 from three, and they hit some crazy contested ones. That's what Kentucky would have to do. They'd pretty much have to mimic the game Butler played. And Kentucky's much better than Butler, obviously, but broad strokes, that's what they'd have to do. But I love this Mississippi State team. I don't know if they're getting enough credit for how good they are. Their only loss is that Butler game where Butler had to shoot 54% from three to win by just 10 points. Give me Mississippi State round of Mississippi State. Yeah.
If there's any, like I said, if there's any area Kentucky is going to exploit to win this, it is the 3-point shooting. Mississippi State giving up 32.8% to opponents. That's 160 in the nation. It's not terrible. It's not great 3-point shooting defense. Kentucky has to find a way to exploit that. Then they have to be physical. The backboard, they're getting killed on both the offense and defensive glass here lately. You give Mississippi State multiple opportunities. They offensive rebound in particular really well with how physical and big they are. And then Josh Hubbard's a star. Like that dude, as soon as he crosses half court, he's within firing range. I think Mississippi State wins comfortably. I mean, I'll just be honest. I think Mississippi State covers 12. I think they win by 12 or more. That's a good spot for them. Kentucky's going to have to figure it out on the road against these really good teams. Let's talk about UConn, number 9. UConn coming off of a loss at Georgetown, who came off of a loss. DeRosa, can the Hoyas get this marquee victory that we have been talking about, that they need for their tournament resume, for more confidence moving forward, and to honestly keep themselves in play for the Big East?
Yeah, I think a lot of this game comes down to, obviously, Georgetown's 2-point defense well, but does Epps play? Does Epps not play? Haven't gotten an update on that. That's definitely one point of concern. I just think Jaden Epps adds so much, another shot creator that this team needs. But UConn's defense this year is not invincible. That if Georgetown can get open looks from outside, granted they don't take a ton of threes, but if they can, they'll find a way to knock some down. This, I think a lot of it comes down to UConn is an awesome 2-point offense. Georgetown is awesome 2-point defense. How does Georgetown's rim protection look in this game? And this is probably the most important game Georgetown has had. I mean, we're talking 7 years easy.
What's the building look like? I know they've had issues here lately with kind of filling the building. Is it close to capacity sellout?
I think it'll be pretty close. I mean, they're playing in the Verizon Center. Yeah, I think especially because UConn fans will come out too. It's a game in DC. There'll definitely be a UConn contingent there too. I think this game is going to be packing. I think we're talking at least 15,000 people in the arena there.
They deserve it, man. Georgetown is, like we've said with Louisville and all these other teams, when Georgetown's good, Coach, it's good for college basketball.
I think, I think this sets up for them to get a win here. I think with McNeely out, UConn losing the game, back-to-back road games. I don't pick against my boy very much on UConn, but I like the Georgetown team too. I think this one would be a big one for Coach Cooley. I think the Hoyas eke one out. Back-to-back tough, down-to-the-wire road losses for UConn.
I love it. I think I hope, DeRosa, that the Hoya fans come out. I know I've heard stuff, we've seen their issues with attendance, and I've heard from some people, not you, but like within that program, that you need to give them a reason to come out.
Yeah.
Hopefully they see that this team will compete and battle and has a real chance to be special.
When's the Commanders game?
The Commanders game is Sunday. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no excuse. So hopefully that they sell that out for the Hoyas. That should be a really fun one on Saturday to keep an eye on. A couple other notables. We don't have to go in depth. I just kind of want your guys' thoughts real quick. Number 11, Houston at Kansas State. K-State has really struggled all year. They've got one big victory under their belt. We know how good Houston, especially here lately, has been. But man, the Octagon of Doom historically has been a very hard building to go in and get a win at, Coach. Can Coach Sampson's team go into the Octagon of Doom and get a big-time conference road win?
Just because they always bring their defense, I think the answer is yes. And this team is shooting the ball well. I think Houston's hitting their stride. I think they're going to be a problem here. I like Houston.
Yeah, I don't love the Kansas State team. I'm also going to take Houston. I really just I haven't seen it with this Kansas State team, and their big win is Cincinnati. I'm not impressed with that Cincinnati team either.
Yeah, they're not looking good here lately either. Indiana at Iowa, and I bring this up because Indiana's, I won't say they look great, but guys, they've won, 5 in a row since the Nebraska loss. And since they've it's unfortunate Malik Renew had to get hurt for Woody to go 4 round 1 and put Umar Ballo as the only big inside, but they're shooting it a little better. Their offense moves better. Ballo's starting to produce now. Indiana's slowly starting to figure it out of necessity now. Unfortunate injury, but they're starting to look a little better, a little bit more competent. This is a big spot for them to go to get a conference road victory against an Iowa team who wants to get up and down and shoot. We know all that. I like Indiana in the spot. Carver Hawkeye Arena. Indiana has historically went out there and got some big wins. I like Indiana to keep this momentum going with this newfound offense they have. Make it 6 in a row. I like Indiana in the spot.
I'm going to go against you here on this one. I just think Iowa is going to protect their home court here and get a win, slow Indiana down. Now they've seen a couple games on tape of how they're playing differently. I'll take Iowa.
Yeah, same here. I feel like Indiana is going to be one of those teams for probably as long as this season. When we start talking about them, like, oh, they might have found their stride, they're going to lose, and they're going to lose in embarrassing fashion. I got Iowa by like 15.
Whoa.
Wow. They need to get this one because their next one on Tuesday, they've got Illinois at home.
You should say that for a bank on it.
Mountain West, a couple of them real quick. San Diego State at New Mexico. I know the pit's very tough to play at. New Mexico's been playing really good basketball here lately. Donovan Dent and Nelly Jr. Joseph. DeBrose, I know how much you love San Diego State. Real quick, who wins, San Diego State or New Mexico?
Yeah, I'm not picking against the pit. Give me New Mexico.
Me neither. Give me the pit. I mean New Mexico.
I'm going New Mexico as well. Boise State at number 24, Utah State. Another Mountain West clash.
Well, I picked Boise State to win the league, so this is a big one. So while I may not think they're going to win this, I'm going to pick them to win it.
Michael.
Yeah, I like this Utah State team a lot. Now, that could be a really fun game to watch. I think the guards of Utah State, they just have some really athletic, really quick guards that I think will present Boise some problems. Give me the Aggies.
I'm going road team with Coach. I'm going Boise State. Tyson Dickelhart is coming off big performances. He'll be the best player on the floor in that game. Give me Boise State. Louisville at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just got their doors blown off by Duke, which there's no shame in that. Louisville's playing well, man. I can't believe how much I enjoy watching this Louisville team. They're coming off another big win where they beat Clemson at home by I think like 10 points or whatever it was. They're up to 37th in KenPom. They've won 5 in a row since the Kentucky loss. They're on the road at Pitt, but give me Louisville. 37th in KenPom, 11-5, 4-1 in conference. I like the way they play. They're finding confidence. Getting what's his name? Abubakar Traore. I probably mispronounced his name. Getting him back has really helped the depth of this team and the athleticism, attacking the rim. Louisville goes to Pittsburgh, makes themselves 5-1 in the ACC.
I'm going to take the Panthers. I think they're going to rebound, protect home court because how important it is to do so. Even though I like the Louisville team too a lot, and I think they're fun to watch, and he's doing a great job. I'm gonna take Pitt.
Yeah, don't feel like I have a great feel of this game. I do lean the Pitt side as well. I think these teams are about even, and Pitt's getting the home court.
The other one I want to touch on real quick, back to the Big East. On Saturday, Villanova trying to carry this momentum we've talked about. They're on the road to play the Johnnies, the Fighting Rick Pitino's up there in New York City. This should be a really entertaining one now that maybe a couple weeks ago we didn't think so. DeRosa, this is in kind of your area expertise here with the Big East. Can Villanova keep the momentum going on the road, or does St. John's kind of put boots to them?
I think this game will be competitive. I don't think Villanova's going to get like just doors blown off of them, but Villanova's defense worries me in this spot versus St. John's offense, which also worries me, just projecting long term. I think the Johnnies will find ways to get decent shots around the rim. St. John's is a team that if you can make them settle for mid-range jumpers, they will take all of them, every single one. I don't think they will have to settle in this game, so I'm going to take the Johnnies.
We're agreeing too much here. I like St. John's in this game too. But I'm just I think there's a lot of evenness to a lot of these games. So my lean, like Pitt, was because of the home court. St. John's because of the home court. This is neutral. I'm not sure what I'd pick in the conference tournament, but I'll take St. John's.
I'm going to go to Johnny's as well. I'm with you, Michael. Like, if you're telling me that Kadari Richmond has to make a game-winning three for you, I don't really trust it. They're really good at getting downhill and getting to the rim. That's kind of what they're best suited for, getting out, forcing turnovers, getting out transition. I think they can do that against Villanova. I think Villanova is going to get another big game from Eric Dixon, but I think you'll see the best of St. John's get to the rim, creating foul trouble for Villanova. I'm going St. John's protecting home court to win that game. Let's go to bank on it. And if you guys noticed, I did not make a prediction on UConn Georgetown, and that's for a reason. My bank on it. The Hoyas. I'm with Coach. The Hoyas take down UConn to get their biggest win in program in 3-4 years since they won that Big East tournament a couple years ago, Michael?
Yeah.
Huge win, the first real marquee win of the I forget your coach's name. Ed Cooley, thank you. The first big win of the Ed Cooley era at Georgetown. Georgetown over UConn. Bank on it.
I am going to go with a strange one because they're not playing great and another team just had an unbelievable performance, but the road in the SEC is going to be so hard. I'm going with your boy, Coach Cal, Arkansas, over the Gators on Saturday.
They need it, man. We didn't talk about Arkansas much. They look awful against Ole Miss last night.
Taking up a little home upset there.
I like it. I thought about going with Oklahoma to beat Georgia. I just thought it would be one of those weird spots, and it would have been a road team too. So I thought that would have been a pretty greasy bank on it. But I'm going to the Sunday slate of college basketball. We'll be very tuned into football. This game will be going on when we're live. I'm going to go with Northwestern to beat Michigan State. I think this Northwestern team is still solid, and I'm not sold yet on this Michigan State team. I think they're going to play a very close game tonight with Washington. I think they will win, but I think it'll be closer than people think, and I think the Wildcats get them.
I like that. By the way, you said, "Oh God," on my bank on. I'll have you know that I'm up in bank on it. So
I'm definitely down. I'm down, but just the way you came into it so confident. Then the last time you said something about one of my teams,
Butler, I know.
Guaranteed Butler would make the tournament, and then they lost like 9 straight.
I know. Hey, man, that was last year. I got the bad mojo away from me. Look, you see what happened Sunday. I said Florida would dominates Tennessee by 10+, and they end up winning by 30. So that means Georgetown's going to win by like 30, probably. I don't know. Okay. You're in good hands. Trust me, I'm going to roll with bank on it. Let's finish out with shout-outs. I've got 3 real quick. Oumar Ballo, 23 points in the win against USC last night for Indiana. Again, when they had to go to 4, something we've been begging for a couple of years now with Coach Woodson. It's unfortunate injury caused it, but since they've been playing 4 out with him to be in the only center inside, he's had big games. 23 last night against USC. He's been having 28 points or more here lately. This is the way for Indiana, and shout out to Oumar Ballo. He's finally got space to maneuver, and he's playing well. Rasheed Bello, from IPFW, 23 points and a 5-point victory over Milwaukee the other night in a Horizon League clash between two of the better teams in that league. I've talked about him. I wrote about him in the preview magazine, him and Jalen Jackson, how good IPFW can be. This was a big win because I do think these are the two best teams in that league. 23 points. That kid is a stud. If IPFW makes the tournament, him and Jalen Jackson, his backcourt running mate, could cause problems for whoever they have to play. My third one, Vlad Golden, 36.7 rebounds in a dominant win over UCLA, to the point they beat UCLA so bad, 94-75 the other night, that it caused Mick Cronin to just go nuts on his players, calling them soft, basically called them sissies. And I'm not going to use the word I want to say, but use your imagination. He went nuts. Vlad Golden, big reason why. 36-7 against a good UCLA team on the road.
I just have two. I'll make them quick. One is we talked about, but it has to be shouted out again. Zurich Phelps, just absolutely crazy second half performance. And then my other shout out is to VCU for beating Fordham with no fans.
Oh,
no water in the city of Richmond or on campus or something. I don't know what the hell was going on. No fans. They beat them.
That's like a COVID era lockdown game right there.
I mean, it's bizarre, but so I'll shout that out.
Love college basketball. I got two. I was gonna throw in Vlad Golden. Josh stole it from me, so I just got two. One,
sorry, brother.
I'm sticking with the MEAC. It's not Howard because Howard's game was canceled due to traveling in the DC area with the snowstorm. Excuse me. Cam Hobbs at Morgan State, 40 bomb, including a game winner in double overtime to beat a good NC Central team to get them to 1-1 in the MEAC. He was awesome. Will Thomas also at 29 and 10, but Cam Hobbs, small guard, undersized. He was a dog in that game. Shout out to him. And I'm going to go on the other side of that Texas A&M Oklahoma game. I watched the end of that game. It was great. Bryson Goodine, I believe, finished 9 of 11 from 3. Straight laser. He had one of the best games probably of his career. He was excellent. So shout out to those two.
I love it. Before we wrap things up today, honestly, I feel like we always have some kind of stuff going on in America every day, but we do want to send our thoughts and prayers out to everybody out there in LA County and the surrounding areas dealing with those wildfires. If you've seen any images from them, videos, that's horrific. It looks like hell on earth. Man, I hope they get that under control because that is a bad situation.
Tons of people I know that live out there. It's a nightmare.
I've seen videos where people are stuck in their houses with their animals, and it looks awful. And I really pray that they can get that taken care of because they said it's burning 3 football fields per minute.
It's
3 football fields per minute.
It's beyond a disaster.
Please
disaster
keep everybody
do it justice. It's absolute devastation.
Yeah. Please keep the people out there in LA County and the surrounding areas in your thoughts and prayers. Man, we hope that gets taken care of. But for us, wrapping up here for episode 207 on a Thursday afternoon, we got to let Coach get pregame ready for his Fighting Irish to try to make a national championship game later. With that, for all of us here, Rudy, we are signing off. Go Irish tonight, and we will catch you on Sunday for episode 208.